It took me about 6 months to use the phone number because I didn't think anybody was going to help me. I just didn't want them to say, no, we can't help you. That was my worst fear, that I was going to get turned down again. So I picked up the phone, and it's been over a year, and it's still going.
You've been approved for the loan, and today we're going to sign the documents, go through each of the documents very clearly.
To realize that I'm back in good form and feel good about myself, and now that I have this to help me along with a new quality in life that's really rewarding.
In 2016, a locally based organization was founded to help improve the lives of the formerly incarcerated through lending, financial education, and community support. Join us today as we learn about the important work of the Fountain Fund. Come on.
I was a federal prosecutor. I spent a lot of time turning the wheels of the criminal justice system. I had a really fortuitous encounter at a local business. I went to get a U-Haul truck. He came up to me, "Here you go, Mr. Hafey, here are your keys." Turns out he'd been a defendant in a federal drug case that I had handled almost 10 years before as an assistant U.S. attorney. And he'd gotten a 10-year federal sentence. He'd served 8.5 years in federal prison, and he'd recently been released. And he was working at this U-Haul place. And we just started talking about the challenges that he faced returning to Charlottesville after that. And he identified debt as really the single biggest challenge, that he owed hundreds of dollars to various court systems. He was in violation of the terms of his release, given the debt. So He couldn't get Section 8 housing, he couldn't get food stamps, and it just occurred to me, why don't we as a community identify people like this who have paid their dues, right? They've served their time. They just want to be productive. They want to be successful, but they can't even get to the starting line because of the debilitating effects of debt.
Right.
That was the genesis for the Fountain Fund.
All right, so Erika, talk about the mission of the organization and the importance of it.
So it really is about improving the lives of formerly incarcerated through lending and financial education and community support, really helping to connect people to other avenues of support besides the loans that we provide. So we're really open to hearing how people need our support to take their next right steps forward.
And the steps, what are the steps that someone goes through?
In most cases, we want to start with what's called the DMV compliance letter, because that really lists all of the different debt that they owe, and sometimes they aren't aware of it all. So it's important to have the right starting point, and then we schedule an appointment to come in and actually do that work together. And so they're filling out the application, we're reviewing, and so that application process happens in person, and then there's often a lot of follow-up that happens before we present the loan package to the loan review committee. We have a committee made up of board members and community members that review each loan and make a determination. And then after the determination is made, we move into the closing process, where we work on the closing documents, bring somebody in and actually walk them through step by step what they're signing, what it means. And then finally, we make the disbursements to whoever we're helping. They might have debt in multiple courts, and we'll navigate that with them. Or if it's a business loan and we're helping, we just helped someone to get a tractor, and we actually went and signed the documents.
All right, and we'll switch pages, and you sign mine, and I'll sign yours.
Well, it's been nervous. It's been a long time getting to this point, and I'm really just thankful it's at this point now where we can sign this, because I was a little skittish that it would all come together, but now I'm here and I'm real thankful.
I had added up thousands of dollars in court fines that wouldn't even let me obtain a driver's license at all. I was overwhelmed, and they was like, well, just breathe, be patient, and not let my anxiety get in the way, because that was really bad. Because I didn't believe in myself.
We want to establish a relationship where it's 50-50, where I can enhance an individual's learning just by helping them understand that I am here and I can put myself in your situation, and I'm not judging you on any aspect of what you're trying to occur or what you're trying to achieve in your life. Because for a lot of people, they've never had anybody in their corner or felt like they've never had anybody in their corner. So we kind of want to be able to instill that in them, that we are always there. Even when things go wrong, we can talk about it, we can process it. And so we talk about that trust and communication. That's a constant in our organization.
As we've developed, we've had a lot of discussions as a board of directors about whether we're closer to a bank, making a business decision about whether someone is worthy of investment? Or are we a social service organization that's here to provide a long list of needs? And we've ultimately decided that we're really neither. We're sort of in between the two. In some ways, we're a bank because we say no to some people. And we do evaluate ability to repay, much like a bank would. But it's not a math problem. And it's not like you spit in, you put in some numbers to a formula and it spits out a yes or a no. And we do provide, as Erika said, a lot of support. Paul and Carl, our staff, spend a lot of time helping people figure out how much they need, what's their monthly budget going to be.
I think Carl and Paul are sometimes people's first call when something has gone off course. And so a lot of times it's just getting them back on track and providing that support and encouragement. Recently we had someone who had a difficult housing situation, and so we've got partners at PHA, and we were able to say, you know, here's who you need to talk to. And so having those direct relationships with people that can support them with whatever the presenting concern is at the time is a really important part to us being able to provide holistic services.
Right. What has the success level been? Talk about how it's been going. It started in 2016.
So to me, success is about maintaining those relationships and supporting people, and they're having the outcome that they're looking for. So we call it the elevation factor, and people have different ways that they're looking to be successful. And so for some, it is the driver's license reinstatement, and that's a measure that we look at. Increased wages, a promotion at work. So there are a number of factors, but they're really self-determined in terms of what they want to get from the loan with us.
Yeah, and there's more than money at stake with our client partners. One of my most satisfying moments was when we informed in person one of our new client partners that we had decided to give her a loan. And she looked at me and she got a little bit teary and she said, you know, no one's ever believed in me before. And we've seen sort of ripple effects beyond the money in terms of people feeling suddenly like they have power and they have skills and they have autonomy, and that makes a huge difference.
I'm glad I met Carl Brown when I was incarcerated at Duane. He came talking about the Fountain Fund. So when I came to Charlottesville, I immediately went to him and he said, just come to him at the Jefferson School and we'll see about getting your driver's license back. And so I did. Now I got my driver's license back.
I was tired of being incarcerated for, you know what I mean, trying to make money to provide for my family the wrong way. Mr. Brown ended up taking me to Piedmont Services, which ended up paying for a $4,000 grant for me to go get my CDLs. If they see you doing the right thing, they're gonna put you on the right path.
Sometimes looking at just the money aspect of it can kind of get us distorted because we would like to think that's the quick fix for everything, and it's not. That's just a part to get you started. And so one of our main things that we really focus on is the trust and communication. So we definitely want to build that trust to have an individual understand that they have individuals who are partners, not just people out in the community that they can go talk to, who are partners, who understand their plight and who can kind of help them navigate certain situations in their lives that arise and kind of guide them to that next level where they don't get to the point where they're thinking of the necessity and they go do something that could possibly get them reincarcerated.
We've raised a lot of money, thankfully, from very generous people in this community. We've had some significant gifts of $50,000, but we've also had some money orders from people currently incarcerated who send us $20 because they believe in what we're doing. And that, to me, is the breadth of our reach and the people that want to support us, from the very affluent who have no connection to criminal justice to people who themselves are affected. And we just need to keep turning those wheels. I mean, this is expensive, and the more money we have, then the more we can push back out the door in the form of loans.
And I will say that you can tell several of our client partners when they bring in their payment, they really get that it pays forward and that the next person is going to get the loan because they're doing their part. So it's an awesome thing to see.
This program that you've set up is really the first of its kind in the nation, isn't it?
Yeah, we did a lot of research when we were getting started, looking for models. And there are, microfinance models. There are sources available for people without means to start businesses, but there was really nothing exclusively for the formerly incarcerated. Well, we've looked all over the country and have not found a model
you're not just helping the individual, you're helping the community, and you're also, let's talk about this, you really are trying to change the criminal justice system. You are trying to make some big differences on a national level.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's a good question, because I don't look at this as we're doing something charitable for our client partners. I see this as we as a community are enhancing our communal productivity. Right? When people succeed after serving their time, that is better for all of us. That's more tax dollars. That's less spending on recidivism or reincarceration. So there's a dollars and cents benefit. There's also just, again, a moral benefit that when all of us achieve, we're all collectively stronger. We have a lot of feel-good stories about Mr. X or Ms. Y who's doing great with a loan. That's nice, but it isn't empirical evidence that access to capital materially changes outcomes. And that's what we want to do next, is generate data that suggests, hey, if you remove these financial barriers and people get their license and can go to work, they're going to have much less likelihood of going back to prison, or they're going to have other positive benefits. So if we can generate that data and get it into the hands of decision makers, ideally then those laws around the country, not just in Virginia, around the country start to change.
You're incarcerated and you're coming out, you feel hopeless, and that's not good. People see you as something that you're not, and you don't belong in society, then I feel that's where the Fountain Fund comes in.
Well, I'm more confident. I've also learned a lot from them in the short term. It's really helped me confident, just knowing that they are here for me.
I've gotten off probation. I've got a job. I've bought a car all on my own, and it's great. It's great. I'm like living a great life.